Welcome back to another episode from Life on Living Well. My name is Richard, and I hope that everyone that listens to me this week, right now, are safe and well. Okay, the topic I have for you this week, I call it habits, but I stretch it a bit by using Aristotle quotations that said, "You are what you repeatedly do." So, if excellent is what you are doing, that is who you are. So, this week, what I wanted to confront or present to you is what I call you are what you repeatedly do. What will you or your friends or your colleagues or your partner or people that are really close to you, what kind of person would they say you are? Would they say you are a habitual person, or you're a kind of person that live your life based on routes or regimes? Or so you know yourself. So if I ask you, what will your friends say about you? Or what are the things that your friend will say about you that you yourself know about yourself? So this is what this particular podcast is all about. It's about examining who we are in a snapshot, not in a full details, and also see how our habits are interlinked to what we think we are. Some people define themselves purely based on the job that they do, or the qualification or the status they achieve in society, or they see having I am a father, so they see it as a purposeful call in life. But that's not where I'm going this week. What I'm going this week is to put a mirror in front of each other and ask, what do I repeatedly do? What is it that when I'm stressed is a way out for me? When I'm bored, what is it that I do? When I'm feeling creativity, what is it that I do? So before I dive into the topic that I have for you, I quickly wanted to make this little announcement, and I will say that if you like to know more about what Life for Living Well does, you can check us out on our community website at www.lifeforlivingwell.info. If you do want to know more about Life for Living Well and you wanted to write to me, you can write to this email address at info@lifeforlivingwell.info, or you can write directly to hello@lifeforlivingwell.info, or you can decide to write directly to me by writing to richard.anthony@lifeforlivingwell.info. So I hope that this message will help someone as we begin to progress with the podcast. So let's get started. A few years ago, I met a lady. She's from France, in Lisbon, Portugal. While we were talking, it was clear she had made great sacrifices in order to find herself. So one of the things that she's done is to break up a long time relationships. So she turned down the offer of being settled down, have children, or married. She also left a good job. She was working for a multinational company, and the job paid in her well, so she left the job. And she also said, actually people do this when they go to something in their life. So they go to that level where it will be difficult for most people that they haven't reached that stage in the relationship. And the female need to do that as well. So our plan was to travel to South America, but before she do that, she wanted to improve her Spanish. So she decided to move to mainland Spain in Europe, and to brush up her Spanish language before she decided to go to South America. While she was in Spain, she decided to spend weekend away in Lisbon, and that's how we met. So we met when I went hiking, and then we bumped to each other, and we spent a very good time together that day, and then we remained friends that day. Uh, so while she was doing all those things, so finally she decided to leave the Spain when she's comfortable and confident with her Spanish language, and she went to South America. So she was living a few months in one each country. I think she's been to two or three countries, if I'm correct. And finally, she's over a few months that she's been doing that. She's she she strongly feel pulled back home in France. She miss her granny, she miss her parents, and she miss her friends. So what is wrong with that? You said nothing. So she's decided to move back to to France. She moved back to her home country and to begin to pick herself up. So the question I ask you is, has she find herself? No. And yes, because to find yourself, according to another philosophy of Aristotle, is to think for yourself. So what come out of her journey is to show her that she loved to travel. She loved to travel. She loved to experience different cultures. She loved to take herself out of her comfort zone. She loved to confront her fear. She loved to handle her difficulties in a way that show how courageous she is. Probably she hasn't found herself as she wanted, or probably she finally find out that she loves to do all those things that I mentioned already. But how the habit comes into these things, it was something that she developed where she was travel. She ended up taking more things. She ended up doing more things. She ended up travel. She ended up enjoy simple things that she didn't realize that she has before. So to develop a new habit is not something that can happen overnight, and it's not something that you could just depend on your power, on your willpower to make it happen. I think James Clear put it very much better in his book Atomic Habits, which is excellent book that I recommend if you like to learn more about habits. I think is a book that I recommend that you should consider to read. He put it so brilliantly why it is important to create an habit and create the positive and good one that can actually influence the goals and the outcome you want to experience. So many people define themselves based on their habits, which are many. We have many people, we as a human being, we are being of habits, where sometimes can be predictable to certain level because of our habits. We sometimes forgot that our habit is actually what we call our personality. And what happens is that if we make a lot of effort to reverse some of these habits, we might realize that we can also be B. Instead of defining ourselves as A or C, we might also be G or J. Some from childhood and others pick up from multiple sources. So how do we get this habit anyway? This habit of behavior that we acquire with time is something that we learn from the environment that we grow up, from the kind of education that we had, kind of home that we came from, kind of culture that we brought up from. So we build all these things and we say, we are like this, or I am like this. So some habits are very helpful and supportive, especially if you have a long or short term goals in mind. If your goals is to lose weight and you want to embrace healthy eating, exercise, you will put a lot of emphasis of cooking your own foods, getting the right recipe to in order to support the goals that you wanted to achieve. Why other habits can also sabotage our life if we don't pay attention to it. So if our way of escaping boredom is to always socializing, always spending part time on party, what will happen is that we'll be throwing away our hard-earned finances. We'll be throwing it away gradually, slowly. We'll be spending money with people we don't really like, but just because we don't want to spend time by ourselves, or just because we don't want to confront our boredom, so we use unhealthy way to escape it. So don't get me wrong, going to party is no means bad, but using party as an escape, it creates more another toxic event in your life. So what will happen is that every time you get bored in something that you truly want, you use it to escape it. I once met someone that the way she broke up from a relationship when she no longer wanted anymore is to invite her male friend into it. So it triggered jealousy from her partner, and at the end, she mishandled the whole situation that it caused unnecessary drama and chaos. Whereas all she has to summon is courage and truly, truly confront her own feelings without being bothered that they see her as a good person. So, what are you using to handle unpleasant experience in your life? So, someone so having a terrible day, and the only way of always handling negative emotion is to finish with 10 bottles of wine or go out on Friday night and get drunk every time. So you see what I'm trying to say. So you're trying to escape from one bad event or experience or emotion, and then you use a temporary solution which have a long-term damage to you. So having to develop an habit that is positive, it has to be intentional, it has to be conscious. You have to really ask yourself, what is it that you want it to be? It's okay if you don't want to be anything, but in my experience, the, the most happy people that I've met in my life is the people that their life has a meaning and purpose. Purpose why they do what they do, meaning that they look forward to wake up every day with smile and excitement. Even though everything around them might not look perfect, but the energy they show to you or how they live their life is so contradicting to physical environment that they currently are. But with time, that changes as well. So it is important, folks, to develop a good habit and to consider what habit will support a particular goal in your life. When we embrace a negative habit, we tend to sabotage our life, sabotage our relationship, and we become an obstacle to the thing that we truly want for our life. So have many books have written how to change your habits, but these are very difficult things to do in my experience. it is very difficult to change habit without bringing what is it that being holding you back into a conscious, because 90% of our awareness is unconscious. How do we know that what we are doing right now is not actually helping us or supporting us for our own good for long time or short time? So we firstly have to bring unconscious to conscious. So how do you do that? So it's easier that many people tell you what you have to do, but they don't tell you how to do it. So number one, if you are kind of person that you spontaneous, you probably miss this quicker because you just go with what comes to you straight away. So mindfulness, embrace mindfulness to your daily activities. If you can, even if it's only 5 minutes a day, be mindful about what your intention for that day will be. Even though you might not be able to carry all of them out because it's not something that you used to, and it will take a lot of practice, probably 21 weeks before you become a norms for you. Diary is another perfect way. If you write what you intend to do for that day in the morning, when you come back in the evening, look at your diary. Have you done exactly what you intend to do? Why you are unable to do it? How can you do better the next day? Meditation is not for everybody, but I actually say that you don't actually need to sit down and listen to you don't have to do that, and you don't have to sit down and listen to somebody leading you. But the best meditation is to listen to sound. Your sound could be your breathing of your heart. It could be the sound of your footsteps. You could just ask yourself that I'm going to walk throughout my street this, and I will just focus on what is in that street right now. It could be the beautiful flower in front of the houses that you're walking through. It could just be the bed, a lonely bed on the branches of a tree. It could be the color of a sky. Just stop for 1 minute and saw that. I remember I was in the front of the temple in Japan many few years ago, and I saw not one or two, but 3 or 4 people around 7:30 in the morning on their way to take a metro to work. They will stop in front of the temple and they will bow their head and they will meditate for just 1 minute, and then they will go. I ask myself, how did I get the idea of being meditation for hours and hours? So what I'm saying to you is that if it's only 5 minutes you can start with, it will make a difference in your life. It will make a massive difference to what you do. It will allow you to manage your stress much better. It will allow you to be less reactive to things that are outside of you all the time. Because most of us we are reacting to basic things like smell, like sound, like emotions of others, like actions or behavior of others. We just react to it. And last one, I also suggest you should embrace a feedback. Not from everyone. Have your own circle of trust. People that you actually know them enough and you trust them a bit to tell you the truth without being diplomatic or protecting your feelings too much. And you also have to be open for feedback. Ask them, tell me one thing you like about me, and tell me one thing I can work and improve about myself. If that person truly like you, truly love you, and you genuinely open to get this kind of feedback, it will make a difference. Because as we have two hands, some people don't, but as you have two hands, we are dark and light. And the dark is always there. Only because what is your habit of life. So if you forget for the day, and you see, and you motivate another 2 hours, then you back to that. So because you are right doesn't mean you don't have it. That's why you have to be mindful of your own so even when you are aware you need to change your habit, it's challenging to do so. Why? Because it may require to change environment, to change people, and even relationships in some cases. But there is another way. Work in creating or developing a new good habit. So you don't always have to change your old habit. In fact, create a new habit because the new habit might end up allow you to outgrow your old habits. That happened to me a lot. I don't necessarily change the old habit, I create a new one. And the new one so strong, so healthy that it override the bad habit that are brought to a conscious. Then I realize that this habit doesn't serve me or serve anybody. It needs to go. But it's difficult to let go without replace it with a better and healthy or good habit. So example of a good habit is exercise. It's not only just do exercise for yourself or your body, it begins to helping you out your mind, your mental, your emotion. You also begin to take more responsibility for what you eat, how you eat, the time you eat, the amount of hours of sleep you get. So you develop more benefit. Different habit comes to it that you prioritize sleeping, but you don't just develop habit of sleeping. You develop one thing, and it's lead to another thing, to another thing, to another thing. So you want to get rid of habit of TV. Sometimes you might just create an habit of reading, and you want to read 3 pages a day every evening when you come back from work. And you realize that if you spend 2 hours watching TV, by the time you get to bed, you are too tired to read a book. So you have your dinner, you clear yourself that I'd rather spend 2 hours on TV. I'm going to spend 15 minutes, and I'm going to spend 1 hour and a half to read a book. By the time you do that for a few weeks, you realize that you're no longer interested in TV. Then you realize that which one has values to your life, the TV or the amazing autobiography you just finished. Or then you realize that you can actually finish anything that you start. You not just read the 3 pages and you just give up. So you challenge yourself. So this is why developing a good habit will escalate to other area of your life. So Socrates once said, you are what you repeatedly do. So if excellence is what you do best, you are excellent. If perfectionist is what you do best, you are perfectionist. So today, find the habit that create a values to your life. So the good habit will deduct the bad habit from your life. Also, be patient. You will need it because when you are developing a new habit, it's like you are building a house. So you lay the foundation, you follow the plans. So and each the house have a different part of workman that will work on it, and you need to be patient. You cannot rush this process. You have to be patient with the habit. The only thing that you will learn and the only thing you will develop at the end of it is patience. Start small and increase it with time. So Lazo said, do the difficult things when it is easy. And you can only do it when you bring unconscious to conscious. Realize that, okay, what I'm about to do is going to take me 10 months, but I need to start for first month. I need to start from first week. I need to start from first day. And say, so you habit is like a process. You build a process and you don't longer thinking or worry about the goal because whether you like it or not, the goal will manifest itself. And how it manifests, you can influence it, but you're not always going to guarantee it. So you want to achieve anything, look at your habits. So what habit do you have that are holding you back? What habit that you have that it can improve your life? So if you want to achieve anything, look at your habits. So I hope this message helps someone. If you have any questions or answer, please feel free to write to me at the email that I mentioned earlier on. You can write to me at richard.anthony@lifeforlivingwell.info or hello at lifeforlivingwell.info. And if you'd like to know more about Life for Living Well, just check our community website at www.lifeforlivingwell.info. I hope this podcast helps someone. Whatever you do, please be safe and have an amazing week. Thank you.